Hey, I'm Jen McIntyre, and I want to tell you about a resource of thousands of free books and poetry online that you can use to improve your homeschool. Well-educated heart is an educational philosophy of how to teach to the heart before we teach to the head. Marlene Peterson really discovered or created this philosophy when several years ago she felt called to go to Africa. And when she got there, she was helping the kids. She was working with their education, and it became apparent that many of these children were not going to make it to adulthood. They just weren't going to survive. And she started to ask the question, why are we educating them if they're not even going to live that long? And what is the point of education if not to train for a job? From her experiences in Africa, Marlene really felt that education needed to have a value all its own and not become valuable because it enables you to do something later on in life. And one of the things that makes it valuable in this moment is that it is about relationships. And the well-educated heart is really about relationships. It's about relationships being your relationship with your child through teaching and inspiring ways, our relationships with ourselves, our relationships, building relationships with our child between others, and connecting them through the heart languages. The heart languages are really the tool that Marlene uses to teach to the heart. She doesn't use these, we use these. She's teaching us how to use these in our own homes. And so there are 5 different heart languages. There's story, art, nature, music, and poetry. And she has gathered, so Well-Educated Heart is the philosophy, and she has gathered a library of all of these different resources that help us teach using these 5 different languages. And her library is called Libraries of Hope. That's her website, Libraries of Hope. Now, it's plural, libraries, and not just singular, because it's not her library that she's trying to grow, but each of us, she wants us to each have an individual library of hope in our own home. To begin with, that means using her online library, and this thing is full. It is so full of thousands and thousands of resources, stories and music and art and a million different things that are so incredibly useful when we're trying to teach using the heart languages. Here is the main problem that I have run into and that other people have run into. There is no methodology here. It is a philosophy, and it is a beautiful, inspiring philosophy, and it is completely overwhelming. All of these resources just make you want to dive in, and then you look at it and you feel like, I can't handle it. The first time that I listened to her speak, I listened and I just thought, this is it. I have discovered my path in life. I'm absolutely going to do this. And then I looked into what it would take to actually begin, and I thought, forget it, I can't do this. And I went back to living just exactly like I'd done before, homeschool, same as we'd done forever, because it was so overwhelming how many different options. So I want to teach you not the way to implement Well-Educated Heart, but a way, because there are so many, and I love hearing lots of different people and their methods and how they've chosen to implement these resources. This is the way that I have done it, and I want to break it down into 7 steps for you of how to start implementing all of these wonderful resources. Step number 1, you want to pick a book for the family read. Now, you may not be familiar with a family read, but it's super simple. You just sit down and read to your family. There you go, explained. So the best book that I have found to read to my kids, in my family, is from this series, the My Book House series. There are 12 books, I think 12 books in this series, and they are set up for a no-brainer approach. The number 1 is nursery rhymes, and it just goes up in development, 1 all the way to 12, so each book gets to be further and further in their mental development. So if you have a really old kid, grab book 12. If you've got a middle-aged kid, try book 6. So you really don't have to even know what's in this. You can just go according to what number is. Here's the problem with these. They are not free on her website. I think they're still in print, and that's why they're not free. You do have to buy these somewhere online, and because they're so golden, they can be super expensive. So there's that, and it can be kind of tricky to find these online. If you have them, absolutely use them. I love them. If you don't, there's a second thing you could do for a family read instead of these. and that is called her Sunshine series. Let me show you where the Sunshine series is. On her website, if you'll scroll down to the bottom here, there's a blue bar, says Forgotten Classics Family Library. Go ahead and click on that. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, she has something called the Sunshine series. And these are all just fabulous family read-alouds. They're wonderful stories that are, again, built based on the development. So the Understood Betsy and Mother Carey's Chickens is for the youngest, and the Golden Name Day and Heidi, that's for your older kids. Reading from these books as a family read is just perfect. It is a really wonderful way to instigate family read. The other place on her website that is perfect for family reads, come all the way to the top and go to Libraries of Hope. This is the place where you will find most of the books. Go to, I usually go by rotation. And let's just pretend that you want to know England. So we're going to go look inside England. And I have young kids, so I'm going to choose elementary. And then you have gobs and gobs of books here, all sorts of different options. But I want to do a family read, so I don't want a quick story. I want kind of a longer story. So I'm going to come down here to either Legendary and Epic Heroes, or I would probably do fiction. I want to read something about fiction. So The Borrowers, that is a wonderful story about tiny little people who live in a house and go around and steal things. And you get to know these tiny people who live behind the walls of a house, and it's just exciting. Or Winnie the Pooh, that is another wonderful one. Those two are in this purple section, which means junior classics. Since I do not own a Junior Classics series, I would look in these other options, and I see the Enchanted Castle. Love the Enchanted Castle. So I'm going to go here and click right on that purple heart. Purple heart just means it's free online, and it will take me right to the book, and I can start reading this. In fact, I am in the middle of reading this particular book to my little kids right now. The entire book is here, and you can take as long as you want reading it. This is a fabulous way to have a read aloud with your family. Step number 2 is using My Book of Delights for poetry and art. I know that you can buy a ton of Marlene's books, and I have bought actually several series of them, but I would say if you only have money to buy one series, this is the series right here. And the reason is the art. You can get the words for free online, and you can even get the pictures for free online, but it's not the same looking at a screen. Having this art in your home in these books is just so powerful to be able to sit down with the kids and look at this really beautiful stuff. And there's one for every single month, and I do not spend a ton of time on these, but we will read a couple of them, and they come with little stories, or they will come with a poem next to them, and so you can implement that as well. This is a quick way to have this. Do not spend a lot of time on this. Do not say, oh, we're doing poetry, let's spend an hour on poetry, unless you really love poetry. 10-15 minutes, put it away. This is exposure. I think that's really key when it comes to Well-Educated Heart. You're looking for exposure to begin with. You're looking for making this familiar to begin with, and do not worry about making it all sorts of amazing to begin with. Just really warm yourself up to it. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is to use music. Rachel Stevens has created an amazing playlist for every single month. She's gone through YouTube and found all these different songs that go with the themes that have to do with that month on Well-Educated Heart. And I love it because I don't have to think at all. I just open her playlist and let it go. And we use this in the mornings and at transition points. So calling people to homeschool time, calling people to a meal, letting them know that the day is over, calling them to family read, whatever. When it's time to do a transition, having that music in the background can be really helpful. Or you can even have it in the background while the kids are doing art or reading their own books or whatever. So you can find this list. I'm actually going to just stick it in the whole list. All the different links I will stick in the description here because it's a little bit buried, but it is on the Well-Educated Heart group under files. You can find this this page and it's got all the links. But like I say, I will put them in the bottom of this video, in the description of this video, and you can just save it and it becomes your playlist as well. And then you just hit play and you have access to all of this beautiful music. I am all for passive learning. Having it on in the background is a marvelous way to really introduce this into your family's life. Moving on to step number 4, you start using Libraries of Hope to find supporting books for your curriculum and projects. So here's the deal. In your homeschool, you are going to be doing whatever you're doing. You are learning about trains, or you are learning about a particular time in history, or whatever it is you're learning about, and you just really want a supporting book to say, we want a novel about this, or maybe we really want the biography of the guy who invented trains, or whatever. Tapping into Marlene's library is an excellent way to get really used to her website, which is one of the hardest parts of this whole experience, is getting so you can navigate her website. Once you get comfortable with the website, it's cake. It's no big deal, and it's wonderful to have all these resources. Let's say that you're learning about pirates instead, because I can find that. So we look up pirates, and once you're in here, let's say your kids are young again, so you choose elementary school, and you go down and you say, I just really want some sort of story, some sort of fiction. Here's a fiction story you can do, and that's got a heart next to it, so you can just look that up and read it online. Or maybe you really want some history of it. So the story of Roger, the English boy who wanted to sail the Spanish Main. You can look that up. Now right there, this one, I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see. That is Forgotten Classics. Forgotten Classics are all of her books that she has gathered together. They are free. They are online. You can also buy them if you want, but they are available. So if you wanted that one, oh, my brain. Forgotten Classics S9 126. So you go to Forgotten Classics, click on that, and you want to hit S9, right? So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Say, I want to see it by series. I'm doing S, right here is the top middle. 9 is this book, Stories from History, and I have already forgotten. I'd have to go back there, but the last number on there was the page, and that will give you the story that you that you chose to learn about those pirates. That is one way to use her library, is to just start implementing these stories that she has on there. Now, once you've hit this point, I might be making it sound a little bit complicated, but at this point, you're going to be much more comfortable with her website and be able to navigate it. So we're going to move on to the last 2 steps have to do with history. Now, history is a big part of what a well-educated heart is focused on, but we don't get to it until step 6 because it's just easier to implement the other things first, the different stories and music and poetry. The first thing I would do is do the My American Storybook. And the reason I would do that is because it's easiest, frankly. This My American Storybook, you don't even have to read it. She has read it for you. You can go to her audio page, and she has a link in every one of her every day for this story, and you can just listen to her reading it to you. Let me show you how to find her audios. If you will go to her website, on this very top menu, there's an audios menu, and she's got podcasts, which are super inspiring, and Belmont, and then My American Storybook. If you will go to My American Storybook, then you come down here and you see all the different books. Book 1, 2, all the way through 12. Those are all the books. And so you decide, well, I'm in month 3. I want to learn about moving toward independence. So you click on Explore. And inside this, you have a story for every single day. And you have a little option here to listen to it. You also have an option right here to buy the images or to print the images. So you can take all of those pictures that are inside the book and print them on your own and make it into your own book so that you can have interaction with that and write quotes from the book that you're interested in and you think are really inspiring. Or you can go in on your own. I own this, but you don't have to. You can find it online. In fact, let me show you where to find it online. You just scroll down to the bottom. Again, we're going to the Forgotten Classics Family Library. And because I'm more comfortable with the other view, I'm just going to go by series. And we are looking for My American Storybook series. There it is, 1 through 12. You can choose any of those. If you happen to be learning about the Revolutionary War, you choose 5. And inside that, there's the book. Start there when it comes to American history. She has lots of American history series. That one is the easiest one to start with because it's just in bite-sized pieces, perfectly spaced for each month. The last step that I would take to start implementing this is a new step. So I haven't done this one yet, It just got announced. It is called My World Storybook Series, and it's going to be in the same format as my American Storybook Series, where she will read it to you. You can listen to it, or you can buy it, or you can just look it up online and listen to it, and read it on your own. And you will be able to have that in a bite-sized piece so that you can walk your way through all of world history without wondering where to pull from or how to take all of these resources. Once you've done all of that, it becomes much more easy to create your own curriculum that you can look at it and say, oh, I really like the historical fiction section, or I'm really excited about the biographies, or I really feel comfortable with the music now. And you can start mixing and matching and creating your own environment. These are just steps to sort of take it one little piece at a time so you get comfortable with all of the different things that she has to offer. Finally, the last key that I have found to implementing Well-Educated Heart is not for my kids at all, it's for me. And I find that the heart languages are just as valuable and pertinent to me at my age as they are for my little kids and my older kids. I think you speak the heart languages at the beginning. So you speak it at the beginning of life, the beginning of the day, the beginning of a week, the beginning of a phase of learning. And for me, it's the beginning of any new section that I'm coming into. So if I'm facing a new season that's very difficult, especially, then I need to seek inspiration. And so the best place that I found that is in her mother's library. And I love reading from these books because they are perfectly made to warm a mother's heart and to just remind us of why we're doing this, what the point is, and to keep us centered on the most important things. This one happens to be Joy. She has a bunch more. I actually love this one, Poetry, because I have zero poetry skills. I really got all caught up on iambic pentameter and everything else in school, and I figured that I just don't like poetry, and this has changed my mind, that poetry is all about love and feelings and the beauty of the sound of words, and more than just trying to make it technically correct. So all of these books are super powerful when it comes to inspiring my heart when I'm going through something. I hope this has been helpful in learning how to implement just one of the ways that you can take a lot of the resources in Well-Educated Heart and put them into your school day and into your life. Join me for more videos and subscribe. I am in a competition with my husband. First one to 1,000 subscribers wins. So share some love, help me out here. And I hope you really enjoy a lot of what Marlene has to offer because it is a truly beautiful experience. Thanks. See ya.